Good morning, one and all. Good morning, one and all. Welcome to another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Today, Wednesday, November the 16th, 2022. We are here ready to go. Good news for you this morning. My co-host, co-accused colleague, Mr. Conway, is in the studio. This time I can hear him, he can hear me, and we are ready to go. We are ready, rearing and ready to go. So welcome, share the live. Let people know that we are here and we are going to be starting. We're going to go into the meat of the thing in a short while. Last week, we had some issues with the time change. People were calling to find out what time we're going to start. Let me see again. We are working on New York time, Eastern Standard Time. So right now it's 11 in New York, which is midday, 12 midday in Guyana. People have indicated that 12 midday in Guyana might be more convenient for the Guyanese viewers because that will be their lunch break and they're going to get time to listen to the information, listen to the credible information. So here we are this morning. Mr. Conway is in the studio and he's rearing and ready to go. Now, today's a special program today because, especially in terms of the number of programs we've had so far, today I'm advised in checking, this is our 50th episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. 50. Today we are, as they would say, we are a big boy today. This is our 50th episode, and we want to make it as interesting or even more interesting than the previous one. So welcome. As I've said before, people are very early. Let me run the list to tell you. Number one today is Natasha D. Natasha D. And the people on YouTube, the program is scheduled sometime an hour, 2 hours before on YouTube, and they get the notification, and many of them join immediately. And they sit there for classes to start, and they wait. So you have people here since Natasha D was 9:39 this morning. And then we had John Rogers. John from Clarksville. He was the second man here at 9:58. Then we had, John was asking if any Gangasaki in the house. It was a long time when I hear the name, Gangasaki. Gangasaki. I wonder if people here, the younger ones in particular, know what is Gangasaki or Gangasaka. Let me hear you if you know what a Gangasaki or a Gangasaka is. Then we had Machu D. Machu J is the next person in the house. We had Anthony there at 10:04. Then we had Patricia G. Then we had Kudowasi. I hope I pronounced that name right. Then we Conchima George. George, you came in at number what? You came in at number 5 this morning. You're doing better than before. He was here at 10:37. And Granville came in from South Rhineveld at 11. Then Vibert, you came in by Vibert, you're losing your stripes at 11:04. When you came in at 11:04, you were there down at number 7. But we know that you're a loyal follower. Then we had Barbara at 11:11, Yonet 11:13, Raul is here, a regular 11:31. Raul, welcome, Raul, welcome. Natasha G came in at 11:34. Dudley, my friend from Jamaica, the man from the yard, came in at 11:42. Then we had Cecil at 11:44. Isabella at 11:47. Wesley at the same time. Jakey, you make it, boy. You came in early. You came in at 11 thing. And then we had Jakey came at 11:49. Raul C, first of the Facebooker, he came in at 11:59, right on time. Then you had Peggy. Then we had Patricia. And these are all Facebookers. Ulrich, regular. Ulrich was here on time, 11:59. Lynette, Yolanda, Joel, Philip, Patricia, Canty, you came on time at 12. We had Don Schwartzy, Leon from Turkine in the house. Heather in the house. Karen. Oh, man, people are here ready. My friend from Essequibo, Abdun, regular. Terence from Toronto is in the house. Squaddy Doreen is in the house on time at 12 o'clock. This is how we were trained. She was on time. Marlon, The secretary, Denise, on time at 12 o'clock. Denise was here on time at 12. Emerson, Kenneth, Linden, Vibert from East Bank is here. Vibert from East Bank, on time. Emily, Don, Maureen, welcome, welcome. Lado said falling and cover down. Eagle and Crying Crow. Eagle and Carrion Crow coming for landing. That's an old folk festival thing, by Eagle to Carrion Crow. So you have landed. The Squaddy Frankie, 51, Frankie came in. He's from Florida. We have people from all over. Carol, Irregular, is here. Tessa is here. Mark is here. Regular as well. Orlando, Colin from Orlando is here. We have people from Queens. We have people from UK. We have all over. People from all over. Welcome to the 50th episode of Speaking Out. We have Oren from the UK is here. Louis on board, man. Louis on board. Come on, 8218, Eric, falling for duty. I can give you a hard post, though. I can detail you for difficult post today, Eric. Timolin, thank you, Timolin, after 50th, and is that 50 years old, 50th episode. So when you hear or when you see people say about happy 50th, they're not telling me that I'm 50 years old. They're saying, as I indicated earlier, this is the 50th episode of the program. So we are going. We have many people. Yes, sir, namesake. Yeah, and lots of people. Yes, Janet, you say Gangasaki. You don't know any lizard, you know. Gangasaki is a little white lizard that runs around in your room and mess up your wall and catch the mosquitoes. They have the purpose and they use, because they're there and they catch mosquitoes, they feed on mosquitoes. So, yeah. The older folks will know that. The older focus, yeah. Gaylord, house lizard, yeah, house lizard. But you know, you get house crapo, you get house jagabat, you get all sort of thing now, you know, house amphibians and so on. So we got to make sure that we define these things very clearly. Alexis, welcome. Yeah. Andrew, welcome. Andrew, Kim, and all the others who are here. Now, let me make a start. As we indicated. You know what we do? Once we start, we try to, we don't stick to the 1 hour time that we would normally announce that we start. We go and we cover the subject. So share the live. The numbers are mounting. Share the live, and let's make a start. Trevor is here. Lyndon C. Michael is here, and we have Yvonne from the Bronx. Thank you for your greetings. Yvonne is here. Cheryl, GT Rudyal is in the house. Welcome, William, Emily, Bray, and all the regulars and people. You know, we notice too that every week people will come on and they will tell you that this is the first time they're on the program. So welcome. I want to again encourage all of you to go to YouTube, subscribe to the channel, because as we have seen, the people are trying to get us off of Facebook. All sorts of problems you encounter from time to time, but YouTube is more reliable. And then maybe when you get to YouTube, you can join that competition where people are here 2 hours before, sit down and waiting for class to start. So let's go. Ulrika, you note that the World Cup has been decided. So I don't know if you're back England. I don't know who you're back, but England are the white ball, the T20 champions. They are also the 50 over champions. So they are the white ball champions. I say congratulations to them. Now, before I go further, you have to give praise and thanks. Don't ever forget to give praise and thanks to the Almighty for allowing us to see this new and beautiful day. So praise and thanks to Jah, as the Rastaman would say. We are grateful to be allowed to see this new day and to participate in whatever it has to offer. Many people are not that fortunate, and it is with deep regret that I have to announce the passing of a retired assistant superintendent, Vibert Lewis, 6654. Already, I don't know if you remember Vibert. The older police might remember Vibert. He last worked at the court superintendent's office at Brigham, but we always remember Vibert. We used to refer to him, we used to call him nickname Monkey Glands. For those older folks, again, when you call a man monkey glands, it tells you something. But Vibert passed away on the 11th, and I want to take this opportunity to express condolences to his relatives, friends, colleagues, children, whatever his thing there. But Vibor, the monkey glands, is no more. He has passed on to the great beyond. You know, when Jah say you have to come, you know. So all these people fighting for power and telling all pack of lies and maligning people and do all of that, the day will come and no one knows when Jah will say, come to me. And you can't run and hide when Jah say, come to you. So yes, we have to give praise and thanks to be there, to be here in the land of the living. And so again, welcome to this 50th episode. And let me move on. Let me bring in my co-accused, my co-host, and my colleague CC, who was not here last week. CC, welcome to you this morning on the program. Welcome. We miss you. A lot of people asked you. We really missed you last week. Welcome.
Thank you, Paul. Although I wasn't live, I listened to it. You did an excellent work, and you left some things for me to say. Happy to be in the land of the living. We are doing God's work. They could only delay it, but it must go on. And I was listening to Bob Marley, the other day. He said, when one door is closed, another one is open. So let's get ready to ramble, Paul.
Yes, let's get ready to rumble. There's the famous announcer, the boxing announcer Michael Buffer will say, let's get ready to rumble. And then the thing will kick off. So yes, welcome. I'm so happy to see you with us this morning. We checked it out to make sure whatever little kinks they might have had, the bugs in the system were ironed out. Let's hope we have an uninterrupted session this morning. As you said, I covered a lot of issues last week, but I knew that you would have wanted to have your input. So what we're gonna do in a little while, I'm gonna give you the opportunity to expand on some of the issues that were covered last week. But before we go into that, we like to give this little synopsis of some stuff. Now, the first thing, and I am delaying to make sure that these people who are recording and they're there to go and make the report, I want them log on and be ready. I don't want to say anything and then, well, of course, they can always go back and look at the program. But we want to give them, for them to hear it live. We want to have them hear it live. Now, one of the first observations that I made, Sunday, I have a keen eye. People who know me know when it comes to uniform and turnout. Terence will tell you, and Ulrich and these guys will tell you. You yourself, you know that, CC, I don't make sport with that. I myself used to always be immaculately turned out. I tried to do my best. And things like wearing your uniform is a very important thing. I saw the Remembrance Day parade on Sunday. And I had to look carefully because I saw the man who sits in the chair with the medals, he wearing his medals. But when I observe closely, the man is wearing the miniature medals. Well, for those people who know, when you have medals, you have the regular size medals and the miniature medals, very small ones, which had gone out of style for some while because they couldn't source them out to the US. But in recent times, over the past maybe 6-7 years or even longer than that, they were able to source the miniature medals and the miniature badge rank. Now, let me tell the man who sits in the chair, and I thought he would have known this, but then maybe I wasted a thought. Miniature medals and miniature badges of rank are only worn on your mess kit. So to be wearing miniature medals on your ceremonial uniform is wrong. And the thing was so noticeable because you wear the miniature medals, but you didn't wear the miniature badges of rank. The miniature medals and badges of rank are worn on your mess kit only, not on your number one, which is the ceremonial uniform. The regular size badges of rank and the regular size medals are worn with your ceremonial uniform. So I thought that I'll let the guy know. CC, you would remember that when I think it was in March, the man had worn the thing prematurely,
Yep.
and then
Yep.
it was said that he wore them in the incorrect order. So
Mhm.
so maybe you can tell him to how to wear the ceremonial uniform. And these little things mean a lot, you know. You know, people say, oh, you're finding fault, but you're not just finding fault. You have to wear your uniform, especially when you're in a leadership position, in the correct manner to set the examples for those people. And having said that, and again, it's bad example. I looked at a female rank on social media. There was some accident somewhere, I'm not sure where it is, and the female rank is there, no headdress on. I mean, what are they? What have we gone to? On the road, dealing with an accident, no headdress on. You know, CC, in your days, you can't even dare to come out on the road without your headdress. Huh?
That's true, and you got, and as a leader, you got to be meticulous, Paul. And if just to add, I watched the ceremony, the opening of the fire station in my area at Onwewak, and they were flying the national colors upside down, right in front there, the colors upside down. Perhaps it's a state of what's going on in the fire department. Upside down, they flying the national colors.
Well,
You got to be meticulous as a leader. Look at small things. The small things that you do will come back, that you do or you don't do will come back and haunt you later on.
yeah, right. So yeah, yes, these things are important. And Frankie, thanks for the correction. Frankie is saying that Lewis, Mr. Vibert Lewis, when he passed, he was a deputy superintendent. I may have mentioned, I think I did mention he was an assistant superintendent. That's the information I got. But you're correct, Frankie. When he passed, he was a deputy superintendent. So thanks for that correction. Thanks for that. And people are telling me what monkey glands means and so on. People are saying, by saying he was a ladies' man. He's
Uh-huh.
putting it nicely. He was a ladies' man.
Yes, I work with him on the East Coast there, and he's very knowledgeable.
Yes, and he and I were very good friends. He liked a tantalize. People know me, know that I like tantalize. And Vibert loved to tantalize. He loved to tantalize. And he had that wicked smile. So whenever we met, it would be tantalized and we teasing each other and so on. So he's no longer in the land of the living. Now moving on, CC, I noted, I think it was yesterday, there's the launch of the Christmas policing activity from the 15th of November. That's from yesterday. And it is indicated that that program will end on the 15th of January. Now, the background to that, perhaps you can let our viewers know the background to this Christmas policing program.
It was really the brainchild of my commissioner, Larry Leland Lewis, in an effort to make the Christmas period very peaceful. And it started then in the 90s. But the thing that is bothering me is that, apparently nothing has changed since then. Maybe nobody do no real analytical work in terms of Christmas policing. Why start in 15th of November, Christmas policing, and then sometimes you use one set of people, and by the 15th of December, most of them might be burnt out. I listened to the Commander A Division, and I have total confidence in the commander in terms of him performing his duties. But I hope that he'll get the necessary support to do that. And also, I heard about drones. I wonder how the drones are going to operate. I wonder if they have a SOP to deal with drones. And I wonder whether or not the drones will infringe on people's right of privacy. And if you're dealing with drones, Paul, you did that. You have to have a rapid response to deal with drones. And the whole thing is that I'm wondering whether police will be burnt out before the Christmas period is over.
Well, it's a valid concern. It's a valid concern is that you have the ranks there. I know the normal program is that you pull from all over. I think in the presentation yesterday, they said they're going to pull upward of 250 persons somewhere in that vicinity to police 24-hour policing patrols. And yes, I saw drones. I was pleasantly surprised. And as you rightly said, we have to remember, because remember, some time ago, the president made a statement that his policing is no longer boots on the ground. And I have to point out, as I will point out again, that you can have drones and you can have whatever you have. Drones can't make arrest. You have to have people to respond. So if a situation is seen, the drones pick up a situation, you have to have people to respond. I remember the first time that I experienced what we call this virtual arrangement was when I went to the police staff college in the UK. That was way back in 1994. I went to Northamptonshire, and their Campbelltown police station is the breakdown for that area. And I was taken into the operations room, and they had the cameras out there. And in the operations room, this is what we call the TPZ, the tilt, pan, and zoom cameras were there. If they saw a situation outside on the road, they could zoom into it. And if it was suspicious, they can call a patrol that was in the area, call a ranks in the area, point out to them that so was taking place at a particular place, and the ranks on the ground were able to respond. So if you're going to have support, aerial, zone support, and so on, and I know the commander, and I think the commander would have thought this through, and you have to have proper response. So don't come and just tell us about this drone arrangement, and then you would recognize too that if we're talking about drone, most likely it's only in the night. So you have to have a comprehensive program of response to deal with it. Now, the drone can tell you about traffic buildup. The drone can tell you a lot of things. So I think it's a good piece of equipment to make use of in modern day policing. But it has to be properly. You talk about SOP, you have to have proper standing operational procedures as to how it will operate. So yes, very good initiative. I commend the initiative, but I'm saying that we have to think it through to its logical conclusion. You just come, because that has been the trend in recent years. People come up with all sorts of plans. They talk about body camera, and they come up and they talk about all kind of things. And then it dies away because there's no proper SOP, proper program to deal with it. CC?
Yes, Paul. And then they focus heavily in Georgetown, but I think I didn't hear anything about the other divisions. Perhaps the division commanders will make their own presentation. But the thing is that many of the division commanders now are inexperienced. Even though twice, this might be the very first time that they're dealing with Christmas policing. And I hope that they have their operation order. We always talk about the information, the intention, the method, the administration, and the communication. I was in Region 5 yesterday, Region 6 yesterday, and in Amsterdam, and I can't recall getting any indication that they are ready for the Christmas policing. I didn't see any boots anywhere. I talked to some ranks there, and they said they would be working 8-hour shift with no relief, no meals arrangements or anything. Perhaps they need to look at the welfare of the persons who would be doing those Christmas policing. And I understand, I heard one now that every night from 6 to 10, there will be mass patrol in Amsterdam.
No, well, right. So, as you rightly pointed out, most of the commanders now are greenhorns. They really have not had, they don't have the experience, and I hope they will, as they would say, look at records, get advice from people who might know. I don't think there are many around, but I hope they listen and they take this into consideration. Now, in the Christmas policing in Georgetown, and I want them to note this, my big issue, and I was commander there for some time, and I had to put together Christmas policing arrangements in Georgetown. Now, the biggest problem now, in my view, with the Christmas policing in Georgetown has to do with the location of those booths and the deployment of the ranks. You know, Larry Lewis built some booths. Lado is here. Lado was the man responsible for building those booths to police, and we sat down and we decided on which were the vulnerable places for those things to go. So, for example, you would have had one in Waterloo Street by Globe Yard, because we knew in those days Globe Yard was always a volatile area. It was always reported that people run into those places having snapped somebody. So you had a booth there. And then you had in other areas, and the boots used to work in some areas. For example, Regent Street, there was one by Guy Isle that went later than the other ones. You had one in Lombard Street where people go for their barrels and so on. You had those locations identified, and they were not random. We sat down, we discussed, and we decided where we are going to put them. Over the years, those places have remained. Those places have remained. I don't know if the threat remains in this area. For example, I can't see Globe Yard being a threat any longer. So I hope they would have assessed it and relocated. But the big problem with that, and commanders, yeah, listen to this, is that you post ranks, sometimes 2 ranks to one of these booths. And anyone who pass can tell you, they go in the booth, they sit down, and they're on their cell phone all for the old 8 hours or 6 hours, they got to work. They go into that booth and they sit there, right? Without a concern of what is going on around them. And when I was commander, I took method to clamp down. It was ordered that unless rain was falling, you were not to go into the booth and just sit down there, especially when there were 2 of you and both of you sit down in the booth. What is the purpose? And I hope that what they would have done too in the special order that was prepared, the duty of those ranks at the booths would have been clearly spelled out, what they are there for. I'm sure if you go now and you ask them, what are you know, if somebody comes and they make a report to you, what action? So all of those things have to be carefully thought out, and the people have to be briefed. It's not just putting a rank or putting 2 ranks there and they go there. You have to have an arrangement for them to be visited frequently to be visited to make sure that everything is okay. And there must be a visible presence, not only the booth, but the people are supposed to be there outside until we can see the boots on the ground, as we see. But to have those boots there and a rank or 2 go and they sit in it and they watch movie on the cell phone or they're texting all day, it ain't making much sense. So for those who are listening, I hope you would have taken it into consideration. And in terms of the divisions, I know other divisions like Barbies and East Coast, they might come out at a later stage with their plan. Now that a division is divided, is broken up into 3, one would expect that maybe East Bank and what they call it, 4B and 4C will have their presentations at some time. But let's see. But it's not just this presentation. Let's hope that we can see the impact of the arrangement in terms of traffic congestion, in terms of safety and security of persons who are going to be doing the Christmas shopping and arrangement. But not only shopping, Christmas is a time when people just come down to line, and you have to make sure that it is there. See anything else on this?
Yeah,
Christmas?
yeah. The plan might be a good plan, but then it might be, as we say in cricketing terms, it might be good on paper, but you're playing on grass. That they need to constantly review, perhaps weekly review what is happening, and make the necessary adjustments so that we can have a very peaceful Christmas.
Yeah. We all look forward to that, regardless of who we support, which religion. Everybody want to have peace, tranquility. Now let's move on, CC. I know last week I dealt with this. You wrote a letter, and I addressed it, but I think you are the best person to address. So let me give you, before I give you, let me recognize a few more. Adi Mac is here, not a regular. Adi Mac from Brooklyn. We have Bonnie A. He's asking what difference will it make with the drones. They have gonna have so many all around with friends and family. He made a long statement there. Christmas patrol coming out of Impact Base. Yes, Lado. We used to have a special arrangement. So even though it came out of Impact Base, a senior rank will be assigned to be responsible for the Christmas patrol. Senior rank at the level of assistant commissioner or senior superintendent, who is there to coordinate the Christmas patrol activities. So yes. But CC, you know, there was this statement or release from Gail Teixeira. And she mentioned things about the commission. I responded because she mentioned me by name, and I responded to that. They had a special program which was well viewed and well attended. And I know you wrote a letter in the newspaper, and we were expecting, I was hoping that you would have been here last week to talk about it. So we didn't have you then. So let me give you the opportunity now to talk, to address that. Go ahead, please.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity, and that's the role of the co-host, co-conspirator, as the case may be. I read with much dismay the statement from Gail Teixeira, and I will just deal with a certain part of it. You did adequately with it, and other persons, I think GK, GHK, Lal, and some other body, they responded. But I want to get a quote, and let me quote. Here's what she wrote. Paul Slow was suspended as the chairman of the Police Service Commission because he refused to appoint senior officers recommended by the Commissioner of Police Acting, 90% of whom were Afro-Guyanese. That is the statement that, I really get me, I can't even find words to describe it. Let me put things in proper context and say straight off the bat that Paul Slow was not suspended as chairman of the Police Service Commission because he refused to appoint senior officers recommended by the Commissioner of Police. And it was not a Paul Slow commission. It wasn't a one-man commission. It was a police service commission. And Mike Somersall, Claire Jarvis, Wes Adams, and I, Clinton, Andrew Conway, were active participants in the decision making of that commission. In fact, we were appointed according to the letter, spirit, and intent of Article 210 of the Guyana Constitution, and we perform our duties well. We were apolitical. We made decisions in terms of promotion in relation to Standing Order number 22 of the Police Standing Orders and the Police Service Commission Rule number 29. We did our work to the best of our ability. And let me tell you something that happened, or what she said, that over 90% of the officers were Afro-Guyanese. I never like using the term Afro or Indo-Guyanese. I dread it. Guyanese is Guyanese. A Trini is a Trini. A Bajan is a Bajan. A Jamaican is a Jamaican. And same about Afro-Guyanese and Indo-Guyanese. It doesn't promote a one Guyana that they're pushing. But this thing about Afro-Guyanese and race and this kind of thing, it has its beginning in the 60s. I can remember when Dr. Chetty Jagan was in the wilderness crying. He mentioned that there wasn't a brown face in the police force. And he talked about ethnic blending in the police force. We had the ICJ report in 1965, and the ICJ report made certain recommendations. As a result, several East Indians joined the police force. Those persons from the 70-100, the 7100, the 7200, the 7300. And I can recall, I knew quite a number of them. They were excellent police. I remember Usman Ali became assistant commissioner. Baron became an assistant commissioner. You may recall he had some problem with board certificates. I remember 7310 Kunjo, 7011 Ramnaroin, 7300 Harpal, and a whole set of them. We used to call them ICJ police. And later on, Dr. Jagan encouraged his supporters not to join the police force. He said that the police was an oppressive arm of the government, and he encouraged them not to join the force. And then when he became president, the paradigm shifted and encouraged them to join the force. Quite a number of them joined after them, and some so well, some left. But the thing is that we, as members of the Service Commission, we never look at race when we were dealing with promotion and other issues in the police force. Unlike what happened at the last promotion, I can remember Senior Superintendent Brutus. He said in an interview with one of the acting commissioners, PRO, that in looking at promotion, they look at race and gender. And when you look and we talk about it, and almost immediately they pull down that clip. And when you look at it at the last promotion, 5 out of 8 persons who were promoted to assistant commissioner were Indo-Guyanese. 7 out of 11 senior sup were Indo-Guyanese. 10 out of 21 were superintendents were Indo-Guyanese. No woman was promoted to assistant commissioner or senior superintendent. The Discipline Service Commission report wrote about the ethnic balance, and it's on page 88 and 94 of that thing. So they can look at ethnic balance if they want to deal with it. But we did not look at race when we were making promotion. And then follow up to the promotion. After the promotion, Paul, we had Region 1 headed by Indo-Guyanese, Region 2 Indo-Guyanese, Region 3 Indo-Guyanese, Region 4C Indo-Guyanese, Region 6 Indo-Guyanese, and Region 4B Indo-Guyanese. And the plans are, I was told recently, that after Christmas policing, Commander from A Division, 4A, who is an Afro-Guyanese, will be removed and replaced by Indo-Guyanese. So apparently race is taking place, and race is taking a foothold in the policing. And what they're doing, they're trying to put Indo-Guyanese in all of their stronghold. Therefore, we need to look, and many of them are not competent. A lot of incompetence taking place. And that's all I need to say for the while.
Well, yeah, well, that was a mouthful. Well said. And you know, you called some names there, some excellent police. I remember when I joined in 1973 Sparnam, you called 7310 Basil Kunja. Oh, Basil was a giant of a police. Basil Kunja was a giant of a police. He sat there. He was a man from the Bacchus Club. You know, Bacchus, the god of wine.
Yeah.
So Basil was a drink man, but Basil knew his job, and he had beautiful handwriting. He worked inquiries there during the day, and Basil was an excellent Basil Kunja, excellent 7310, excellent police. So yes, and you've had many others. Ram Prasad, I work at Sparnam, I think it's 7045, and all of those guys. And you're right. And let me say this: when Mr. Lewis became commissioner, you know, because one of the things they always talk about is ethnic imbalance. In other words, the force was dominated by Afro-Guyanese, and they tried to make a claim to say that the system was of such that it prevented Indo-Guyanese from joining. One of the arguments they made, for example, people on the quarantine, Essequibo Coast, and those places, Indo-Guyanese that join, then they are separated from their family. So if you're in the training school, let's say, and you get an afternoon pass, whereas the people on the East Coast, East Bank, Georgetown can run home to see their family. The Essequibo man and the quarantine man couldn't go any place. He had to remain away from his family. And when Mr. Oit was president and Larry Lewis was commissioner, to address that issue, they opened the Adventure College. They opened the college at Adventure on the quarantine coast with one of the sole purpose to attract Indo policemen. And what? Some came, they did not stay, they move on. He did something similar at Anna Regina. They established the college that became known as the Richard Feichel Police College with the aim of attracting Indo-Guyanese into the force. But the point, the issue is, I don't know if it's cultural or whatever, many of those guys will come and they will not stay. The job they find too onerous, they find it too restrictive, the military type discipline they didn't find conducive, and they left. And they left. And you're correct in saying that even though the argument still remains that, look, the force is dominated by Afro-Guyanese, here we have a situation, as you have just pointed out, where senior promotions and senior command positions now are held by Indo-Guyanese. And in that case, as you rightly pointed out, that they are competent. Many of them have no experience. There are more competent people in the system than those persons. And while you talk about the commander, at the 2IC level, the man in charge of finance, the man in charge of SOKU, the man in charge of operation. So there seems to be a concerted effort to marginalize the Afro-Guyanese police officers, senior officers, and to promote these Indo-Guyanese and put them in those senior positions. And I know, based on the feedback that I'm getting, that it is causing the people to be demoralized because you work and you are qualified and then you are sidelined. Somebody below, they come, they put them there, and they don't have a clue as to how to command a division. And to make matters worse, in many cases, they don't even seek to balance it. So you have a case where sometimes the commander, and look at it, we can call names, the names are there, the commander is inexperienced, and he has an inexperienced deputy. So it's a case where they might say it's the blind leading the blind, and that is what is going on. So when Gail Teixeira, and I said before, I call her, as they say, full mouth, because there's no respect. You can't respect a person who lies like that. I have no respect for. Some people might be annoyed with me and say that I should at least follow the protocol. I am following no protocol. Gail Teixeira telling the lies and talk about ethnic people, how many Afro-Guyanese. As you rightly pointed out, we don't look at Afro-Guyanese when we came to deal with promotion. It was about your qualification. And as I indicated in the letter that I wrote not so long ago, that seemed to have gone through the window, because you have a situation now where people with pending disciplinary and other matters are promoted. You have people who have not passed the examination, the appropriate qualifying examination, are promoted ahead of people who are more qualified, who have passed the examination, and that is what you have happening. So the people are demoralized. People are scared to speak out, and they are demoralized. They're scared because of the victimization. They're going to be targeted, and they are going to be victimized, and they don't want that. SCC?
Yeah, Paul. And also, let me just mention that if they want to talk about ethnic balance in the police force, I have the report of the Discipline Forces Commissioner, pages 88 to 94, and it speaks about the imbalance, and also they made 8 recommendations. Perhaps they should dust it out and go back to it if they want to deal with that. But let me mention further, which I omitted, is that the Service Commission wasn't suspended because we refused to promote persons recommended by the acting commission. The persons who blocked the promotion was Senior Superintendent Brutus, who filed court action against us, and he was joined by Superintendent Bacchus, Deputy Superintendent Stanley, Assistant Superintendent Jupiter, and Inspector Premnarine, all of who had disciplinary matters pending, and it's against the Standing Order 22 and the Public Service Commission Rule number 29 to promote persons who have disciplinary matters pending. They lost the case. And we were subsequently given a phantom charge, and they made their moves forever suspended when there should have been a Judicial Service Commission to make recommendation to the president. But the matter is before the court, so I won't go on further about that. But it was Brutus and others who blocked the promotions of 132 members of the Guyana Police Force. We didn't block any promotion.
And what we should add to is that when the court ruled, when the Chief Justice ruled on June the 28th,
Yeah.
and throughout the challenge, the Police Service Commission immediately released the 132 promotion. And it
Yeah.
was the Attorney General,
General,
Andrew
yeah,
Yandalai, the
yeah,
next night, who said that the government will not recognize the promotion, and they
yeah,
have not recognized the promotion since. And even though, if you look at it again, they're talking about ethnic balance and ethnic consideration. When in July of this year, July the 2nd, they made that horrid promotion, right? Many of the persons who were promoted on the 28th of June last year were not promoted. Many of those persons, and check the list, I checked the list, and when you look at it, the Afro persons who were promoted then were not promoted. And they said the matter is before the court. And again, to bring persons up to date, we challenged the suspension because the suspension was done on the 16th of June. The Chief Justice was due to rule on the 18th of June. So 2 days before the Chief Justice was due to rule, they also, and they suspend all members of the commission, not Paul Slow. All members of the commission were suspended. And they claim that there's a letter from the Prime Minister to us to say that the reason for the suspension is because the Police Service Commission joined with Member of Parliament, Ganesh Mai Paul, in an action, a court action, to challenge the constitutionality of the Fiscal Management and Finance Act. That is what they claim, that the reason for the suspension. And it is to be noted that the Police Service Commission wasn't the only commission to join in that action. The Public Service Commission joined in that action as well, and nothing was done to them. So it was clear that that action was taken to disband the commission before the Chief Justice ruling on the 18th. So, Gail Teixeira, get your facts right. We get all the dates, and it is there for people to see. And as I said in the mirror, you know, the PPP, you have to give them credit for propaganda. They come and they spread the propaganda, but it's not going to work now, because in the past when they came out and they said those things, you hadn't the means of adequately responding. But now with social media, independent media, we can respond and let people know what the facts are. So I'm glad that you have indicated, and this is not we saying it, the records are there. The records are there. The promotion, the suspension was challenged. It went to court. The court ruled in favor of, well, not of the commission. In other words, the judge ruled because the Attorney General argued that because the commission life had ended, and there is another issue that you have to address. The commission suspended on the 16th of June when the life of the commission was due to end on August the 8th, less than 2 months. Why would you suspend the commission that has less than 2 months to solve? So these are the questions that intelligent people will ask, and you will come to no other conclusion that they did not want a commission in place when they knew that the ruling would have gone against them. So the judge ruled, the Chief Justice ruled in the first place. It was challenged. In March of this year, the judge ruled because the Attorney General argued that because the life of the commission had ended, the challenge to the president on constitutional action should not be ventilated in court. The judge said that can't work. The judge said because of the public interest nature of this matter should not be left unaddressed. So the judge ruled that the matter should continue. The Attorney General challenged the ruling to the full court. The full court ruled and upheld with some modification the ruling of the judge that the matter should continue. The Attorney General then sought leave of the full court to appeal to the appeal court. That was denied. The current situation now is that the Police Service Commission has retained a senior counsel, and they are fighting tooth and nail to say that they have no interest in this matter continuing. But what they're failing to recognize is that the full court ruled that Paul Slow is added as an applicant. So our position is clear. If you want to discontinue, that is up to you. But we are not discontinuing. We are going to continue. And in terms of bringing our listeners up to date, this matter was scheduled for the 11th, this last Friday. And we got word that the judge, Justice the Honorable Gino Prasad, had some emergency, and therefore the matter could not have been heard that day, and the court is going to advise us which is the new date. So that is the position with this suspension thing, and the guilty share run to Tower Paul Slow suspended. All members of the commission were suspended, and it had nothing to do about refusing to promote people. Nothing to do, well, perhaps it is because, as I said before, the president wanted some people promoted. And when we said, no, we're going to stick to the rule, then they let loose the dogs of war, right? Criminal charge, trumped up charge, and all manner of things. So let's set the record straight. Let's make sure that people know what is there. I will continue to shout from the mountaintop the truth, the truth. And again, to use Amanda Walton Desire phrase, intellectually lazy. Don't be intellectually lazy. Go and check. I see Agile of all people try to thief the phrase some time ago about that. So CC, anything else?
Yeah, let me just refresh the viewers, the listeners, in terms of promotion. And the last promotion by the not fully constituted Police Service Commission, the Chief Justice said that it's not fully constituted because the chairman of the Police Service Commission must be, or the Public Service Commission must be a member of that commission, and there's no Public Service Commission. Now, with that promotion, I recall on the 1st, in an interview, the chairman, another bishop, I don't want to put a name in front of him, he said that all they did was look at some files that were left by the previous commission. And he was awaiting the recommendations from the Commissioner of Police for them to make promotion. Lo and behold, on the 2nd of July, 250-something persons were promoted. They didn't have a chance to do any due diligence. We had to check all the files when they send recommendation to us, because those things that they sent to us was even more bloated than the voters list. We had to check persons who had disciplinary matters, persons involved in criminal matters, persons who passed the promotion exam or not, and a whole lot of things you have to do with due diligence. So on the 1st, you didn't have a list, and on the 2nd, you promoted 250-something persons. How ungodly could that be? And in addition, if you look at the promotion, if you look at all those who challenge us were promoted. One man, an inspector, moved from inspector to superintendent, bypass 280-something persons, became a superintendent. Where is he now? He's in region number 2 as a detective officer there. And that region used to be manned by a detective sergeant. Perhaps that is his level.
Yes.
They resurrected Dr. Peter, and Peter Principal is in play right now.
They also resurrected George, George Patete.
Yeah.
George is resurrected. And you're rightly, and for the longest while, I've been promising to look into to analyze this promotion, and maybe it's the right thing. You have done some of it in terms of the number of persons who were promoted to the various ranks and so on, to show this imbalance, this ethnic imbalance in the whole thing, as the man had talked about, looking at ethnicity and gender and all of that. And something else that I have observed, that the establishment, the force establishment was thrown through the window, because for those people who don't know, the force has an establishment. This is an approved number of persons who should be in the force. So it will tell you 1 commissioner, 4 deputy commissioners, I think it's 12 assistant commissioners, all the way down the line. Now, if you look at some of the promotions in some of the rank brackets, I'm sure they would have exceeded, because even when a couple of years ago, around 2020 or near about 2021, it was evident that the bracket dealing with sergeants, I remember I checked once, it had like about 100 and something people over the establishment. And then we had the situation in August of 2020. Soon after the government came into power, they recruited some people at the Presidential Guard. They recruited them in August, and in September, they were all promoted to the rank of sergeant. So you recruited them in September of 2020, shortly after coming to office, and the next month, people who perhaps can't even write a statement, who have not even taken a statement, who can't do no investigation, you promote them ahead of people who are there for years, toiling, and had a legitimate expectation of being promoted. So they come and they talk and all this crap. The records are there. You have people right out of the presidential guard too, who are promoted 3-4 levels above where they ought to be, right? At the expense of other people. And I mentioned it there too, because one of the issues is that it was in September of 2020 when Thomas, who was recalled from pre-retirement leave, Assistant Commissioner Edgar Thomas was on pre-retirement leave in August of 2020. And he was called out from pre-retirement leave, not annual leave, pre-retirement leave to head the Presidential Guard. And he had the temerity in September of the same year to write to the Police Service Commission recommending persons to be made acting appointment. And he was rebuked. He was rebuked. He had no authority to do so. We had to point out to him that, hey, Commissioner of Police is the person who's to make those recommendations, not you. If you want to make the recommendations to the commissioner, you do that. But you can't write to the Police Service Commission. And I mentioned that too, because the very day the president himself called me on my cell phone to tell me that I was a little tough. I wrote him the day I wrote him on the advice of the Police Service Commission. We met, we discussed the matter, and I said, righty. So I wrote him, and the president called me and told me that he is the one who told Thomas to send the recommendation. And I said to him there and then, I said, even if that were so, Thomas, as a senior officer, ought to be able to advise you that he can't write to the Police Service Commission. He has to go to the commissioner. That is the protocol. And then he tell me, say, well, look, I must go light on Thomas, something to the effect. So again, the records are there. So we have a situation where there's an establishment. Now you look at the establishment to see how many persons you have and what the vacancies are. And you make promotion based on the vacancies. So if there are vacancies of 5 senior superintendent, that is what you will do. You make the promotions, and then you have consequential promotion. I don't want to go into all the technical details and so on, but consequential simply means that if you promote 2 persons from the rank of superintendent to senior superintendent, in addition to the 5 vacancies you may have had for senior superintendent, you have to now get 2 additional. So that those are as a consequence of 2 superintendents being promoted to senior superintendent, you have the consequential promotion. And we went through that. You create the list for us to see how many vacancies, how many consequentials, and then you decide on the merit of the individual persons who would have been recommended, and you go through that. Now, one of the issues that we want to address, and this is a question somebody had asked me months ago, and we always get sidetracked. We couldn't bring it up, so let me address it now. Now, people are promoted to assistant superintendent, and if you have, let's say, little service in the rank of sergeant, or maybe sergeant in particular, rather than conforming, you're promoted to assistant superintendent, and then you're put on probation for 2 years. So first of all, for the people who are listening, I will carry back the thing. There is no rank in the Guyana Police Force called assistant superintendent on probation. That is not a rank. The rank is assistant superintendent. And because of the system where you're going to promote someone, maybe who does not have, you feel don't have all the experience and need 2 years to blossom out, they are put on probation for the 2 years. Now, if at the end of the 2 years, the people are deemed to have worked well and have qualified themselves, then it is confirmed. They're not promoted to assistant superintendent. It is confirmed. And in the confirmation, when you look at the date has to be from the time when they were promoted to assistant superintendent and put on probation. People have complained that what happened now, they were on probation, and then when they made that horrid promotion in June, when they eventually got the date is from June this year. Cannot be, should not be. you're depriving those persons now from all their seniority and all of that, right? So that is one of the issues that you have had. And then you have a situation here now, they promote, just to show you how this thing is so flawed. You promote people from corporal, they promote a man from corporal to assistant superintendent on probation. You promote people from sergeant to assistant superintendent. Then you're promoting inspectors to assistant superintendent. And at the same time, you're promoting some inspectors to assistant superintendent on probation. No, that is so wrong, because when you promote an inspector, I don't think in the history of the Guyana Police Force, we have ever had a situation where inspectors are promoted to assistant superintendent on probation, right? So what happens? Now you're in promotion, you might have an inspector with 4 or 5 years service. They put them assistant superintendent on probation. It means for the next 2 years, they cannot be promoted. And I'm sure that within that 2-year period, you have people now who are inspectors and maybe even sergeants are going to be promoted ahead of them, so they lose the seniority and they lose the benefits, the superannuation and other benefits. CC, you want to comment on that?
I totally agree with you, Paul. I wouldn't say anything further than that. You made it very clear. But let me just go back to, apparently there are no checks and balances. Here is it that the police force is overstaffed, particularly with sergeants. I know that when you used to prepare for salary, you send to finance, you say, hey, X amount of sergeants there, you put the amount, and then you put who you are, the number of persons that you are recommended to be paid their salary. So what happened with that large amount of overflow? More sergeants than the establishment. How are they getting paid? What happened with checks and balances at the finance office? Nobody making any checks, nobody inquiry. Hey, how this thing happen? The establishment say, for the sake of argument, that you have 50 sergeants and now you're asking for salary for 75. How can that work?
More than that, CC, more than that, as I noted in the past too, something like that would have attracted the attention of the Auditor General. Because if the establishment is there and you are seeking to have money, so more people than the establishment for the particular rank requires, it triggers inquiries from the Auditor General. And Andrew, it is true, 2 months service and promoted to sergeant. Not only to, because you know the police force, you have lance corporal, corporal. We're not talking about lance corporal or corporal, even though that would have been wrong as well. 2 months service and promoted to sergeant. And you say you served 10 years with no promotion. 2 months service, people promoted to sergeant. 2 months service. And hear this. One man who was recruited in 2020 and promoted to the rank of sergeant. In August, he recruited, promoted to the rank of sergeant in September. The man was 53 years old. 53 years old. And there's a classic case, a Guinness Book of Record, because he recruited in August of 2020, promoted to sergeant in the same year, September of the same year, and in 2021, the man gets his letter to retire from the force in 2022. The man is now out. They must bring him back as a SC. I have no doubt. These things are true. You can't make these things up. You can't make it up. A man joined in August, 53 years old, joined in August. And when the jokers were advised that, look, the regulation does not allow for that. If you want to bring him, perhaps as a rural council, they said no. We said no. We don't bother with the regulations. Bring him in as a regular policeman. So he came in August of 2020 as a regular police. He's promoted to sergeant in September. And then in 2021, he's written to by the Commissioner of Police acting to tell him that he is to retire in 2022. And the force thanked him for the yeoman service, 18 months, I think he had. The letter, I saw a copy of the letter.
I saw one too.
I must have it somewhere. He's thanked for his yeoman service, 18-month service. So Andrew, 10 years you had, and this is the man who spend 18 months, get sergeant, and then they're thanking him for his yeoman service. So I want to see what can happen to his benefits, gratuity, and all this. I would think he ain't get pension level service. But how the thing work, I sure they can also give him some handshake. As I've said, no doubt they might have taken him back in the special constabulary, but the special constabulary should go off at 60. Even though we noted in recent times, the man in charge of the special constabulary, he as old as Methuselah, and he's still there. So this 60 thing, all them regulation and so on, gone through the window, you know, bro. All them things gone through the window. But normally, if you come off for the force at 55 and they take you on as in the special constabulary, it's 5 years. Because at 60, you have to go. And we had the famous or infamous case of Larry Lewis, who, when he became 55 and got extension from the government, I think it's a 2 year or 3 year, he got in the first instance, and then he got a further extension. And when he became 60, they were moving to extend him even further. And Denny Baker, Member of Parliament, God rest the dead, point out that the law does not permit that. And therefore, the man had to chuck in 2001. You remember he paraded with dark shades and all them. I think people say he was hiding tears and all of that. So the regulations are there, but in these times, all of those things seem to have gone through the window. Now, how do you run a system and you don't follow rules and regulations? If the rules and you follow it perhaps selectively, got to have a problem. SEC got to have a problem.
That's true, but they don't care. They don't bother about rules anymore, man. Those things, as you mentioned, gone through the window.
Yeah,
We just do what we want to do.
Yeah, so coming back to this thing about cadet officer and promotion, the question was asked, and let me say it again. Cadet officer and promotion is not a rank. It is not a rank in the Guyana Police Force. The rank is assistant superintendent. Oh, that's a cadet, sorry. Assistant superintendent on probation. Sorry, I must have misspoken a while ago. Assistant superintendent of probation is not a rank. The rank is assistant superintendent. So, what happened, a man is a sergeant, he's promoted to assistant superintendent, but he is put on probation. And the badge rank he wears, instead of wearing the 2 pip, he wears 1 as an indication that he's in promotion. In the case of the cadet officer, he also wears 1 pip, but it is on a black background, right? And again, with the cadet officer, after 2 years probation, they too are on probation. If the report is adverse, the standing order says that you should be reverted to the rank. You should be given the opportunity to be reverted to the rank you were when you were appointed as cadet officer.
Oh, stick up in there.
Yes.
We have one now over 10 years as a cadet. He has gone in the Guinness Book of Records.
Yes, I noted it. A man is a cadet officer for over 10 years when the regulation, and we know because we had addressed the matter. And we there were issues and so on. Again, the whole thing broke down. You had cadet officers who before the court, man charged before the court, and nothing done. All of those things we inherited, nothing done. Man before the court for shooting people, nothing done. We had one before the court. He had about 8 charges: drunken driving, failing to submit a breathalyzer test, and all set of crap we met and we tried to clean up. And of course, that would not have met with the favor with many. So the assistant superintendent is the rank. The person is put on probation, and if at the end of 2 years he gets a favorable report, then he's confirmed in the rank of assistant superintendent. Similar to the cadet, he's confirmed in that rank. But to promote an inspector with 3-4 years service to assistant superintendent and then put them on probation is wrong. It is wrong. Because it means for 2 years, they cannot, or they should not. Well, now anything is up now. But for 2 years, because they're on probation, they should not be considered. So what are you going to have? You have a situation now, if let's say you make a next promotion this year, chances are that many persons who are inspectors are now going to go to straight to assistant superintendent. They're not on probation, and they get seniority over those. It is wrong. You have a situation here, you look at the order, where a constable is promoted to assistant superintendent on probation. A constable is put to assistant superintendent on probation. So they have a lot of records that they have broken, unenviable records that they have broken. They threw the regulations aside, they threw the standing order aside. So they just do the thing, just put together a list. Man who left the work. Remember, you remember civilian man who left the work get promoted?
Yeah, a woman get promoted 2 times.
Yeah, one person got promoted 2 times. They have a situation now which came to attention to where a rank who had left the force, had resigned many years ago, over 5-6 years ago, resigned and is reinstated at the same rank. Resigned and is reinstated at the same rank. So it's a lot. And you say these things to point out that while many in the organization are timid, they are afraid to speak because they're afraid of victimization. It is demoralizing. People there, they point this thing out. Look at this man. This man ain't got a clue. They got a man who, a man who make his own certificates. You know the story, CC?
Yeah.
A man make his own certificates and the man there in senior position. I pointed out last week that when the police service commission, the previous commission that before ours, it was investigated because of allegations of corruption and money and all sort of thing. And you have several persons who are now in senior positions. Several persons in the Guyana police force, listen to me carefully, who are now in command position, are alleged to have paid big money to get promotion. The thing mentioned them, the report mentioned them by name and said they pay money. The bagman was a man at the East Bank who used to collect. And then there's the story of the man who paid. And same time, if you recall, in 2017, I think it was, when the promotion was to come out, the Minister of State, Mr. Harmon, wrote the commission and said, look, they don't believe any promotion should be made, hold up the promotion. Mr. Nandalal, who was then in the opposition, took it to court and won because the judge, the Chief Justice said that the commission is a constitutional body and you shouldn't be writing to tell them who to promote and who not to promote. So statements were made. So, but by the time, the life of the commission had come to an end and the men didn't get their promotion. A man is alleged to have threatened a certain man in the commission, say, look, I want back my money. If I get back my money, what can happen? And it is said that the
Western Union?
Huh?
Western Union, he get back his money to Western Union?
The man refunded the filthy lucre via Western Union. That is what is alleged, that the man refunded the thing via Western Union. So all of these things are there. And therefore, I said that when Gail Teixeira and then talk about slow not making promotion, they were relating to what transpired before, where they could have called somebody, as the president called me and tried to influence certain promotion, and then the people would have just run and do that. But we have too much integrity and we have too much knowledge, and we are not going to be, I was not going to be a part of that, and I brought it to the other members of the commission, and they fully agree that we are not going to do that. We are not going to do that. So let me understand this thing clearly. About the promotion. A lot of corruption in the process. And people are there fuming and complaining. You pointed out about the commanders in these areas. And what we did not say is that these areas where these Indian commanders are now is basically the population center of Guyana. Yeah. Because when you look at where the other ethnic people are, Region 7, Region 8, Region 9, Region 10 is bush. Well, Region 10 is Linden, not really bush, but Letem, Bartica. They don't have any real population. And as I've said, people are demoralized, they complain, but what? They are afraid of victimization, so they don't speak. And I ain't afraid of victimization. They don't charge me 4 criminal charges. Maybe they're going to soon talk about cybercrime charges and all that. I'm not too concerned about that. See?
Yeah, like you too. I'm not concerned about charges. We talk the truth and we give it just like it is, blank.
Well, I made the point last week too. I said if speaking the truth is going to cause my demise, well, so be it, because I will
Yeah.
continue to speak the truth. I will continue to speak the truth. So if it is that speaking the truth is going to get under the skin of people, as we say, the things that we're saying, we have evidence to support it. We're not going to come here and just run we mouth and to say things. If speaking the truth is going to cost, and remember, I said last week too, is that when the time comes for us to go, we have to go.
Yeah.
If it is ordained that you have to go at a particular time, and I have to go for speaking the truth, well, then so be it. That is not going to prevent me from speaking the truth. It is not going to prevent me. I will not be intimidated. Criminal charges, civil lawsuits. I am not going to be prevented and intimidated from speaking the truth, because I learned from very early. They said the truth shall set you free. They say that the truth shall set you free. Now, I think moving on, Mr. Chisel Pepper, you're right, 68. Stand for something or die for nothing, man. You got to stand up. I used to tell the ranks who work with me, when they say, but sir, how is it that you're not afraid and you to do the right? Yes, sir, because when I get up in the morning and I go in front of the mirror, right? I see a pleasant sight and I see two little wrong things down at the bottom. The name balls. You have to have balls to do what you're doing. If you go there, I don't know what is the equivalent for the other gender, but if you go there and you don't see balls, then something wrong with you. You have to have balls, not only guts. Some people have guts, literally and figuratively, but you have to have balls. And the day you can't stand up for what is right, something is wrong. It's better you tell God to take you. It's better you decide to go to your maker, whoever that person is deemed to be, but you have to speak the truth. That's easy.
You can't say the man in the mirror is not you, like Shaggy, you know. Or you can't say like Shaggy, it wasn't me. Or like Michael Jackson, Billie
Yeah,
Jean is not my girl.
yeah,
Billie
yeah, yeah,
Jean
yeah.
is not
So
my son, you know. It's you whenever you're done.
yeah. I see. Also, I will say you have questions and you need guidance on my way forward. Send the note, man. Inbox me. Send the notes, because what happens is that most of these questions pop up on the live, and not to be distracted. Sometimes I don't read all, but I can promise you that as soon as the program is finished, one of the first thing I do is I go through the comments and I make note if it's something to respond to. Unfortunately, um, sometimes it's still a week before I respond. In some cases, I respond immediately. The person provide the contact information on social media. I respond to this question, because sometimes it cannot wait, and I respond. So inbox via messenger. Yes, I'm well inbox via messenger, and I will respond to the question, because we're here to guide, we're here to teach, and we're going to use every means at our disposal to do so. As we said, we know that they are benefiting from this too. People out of the Ministry of Home Affairs, people out of the police headquarters, they listen and they tell the superiors what transpired, and they take these things on board. I mean, perhaps they don't like the manner in which it is put over, but as we say, the truth must be told. The truth must be told, and we will continue to tell the truth. Now, CC, I have been saying all along, in this land of ours, Guyana, a place of you say is not a real place. Issues come up and they have a limited shelf life. So what happens? People make nice, and then a morning or two, thing gone. For example, the issue with the Soku and the liar. It came up. They had a demonstration by the liars in front of the place. They say OPR is going to investigate. I understand that OPR, they say that OPR did a report, send the report for legal advice. But like it's over 2 weeks now. Nothing has happened. Are you aware of what is going on there, my brother?
Not aware. And talk about the OPR, where you have a deputy superintendent investigating this very matter against a superintendent, and more so an assistant commissioner of police. Perhaps Minister Ben tell him, like the Ross report, that is confidential.
Yeah, well, it looked that way. It looked that way. But I said last week that let's understand. Yeah, Dudley, 9-day wonder. Well, you say you call it a 9-day wonder in Jamaica. Sometime in Guyana, it don't even last 9 days, right? Within a few days, people forget about it. So, but I said last week that having regards to how the system works, this man who is alleged to have ordered the arrest of the young attorney, female attorney, seemed to be untouchable. I made complaints against him on professional conduct. Nothing has happened. And the attorney general responds. The attorney general said that, look, you got to quote them right, because there's run for say you misquoted them and they're going to also to sue you. Attorney general said he called and he apologized to the lawyer, and he ordered that she should be released. She was released. And then when they filed action or they serve a pre-action letter, he said he thought it was the matter was over.
Water under the bridge.
That was water under the bridge because she was arrested for less than 50 minutes. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Can you imagine that response coming from the Attorney General? That, all right, I apologize to her and release. So he's not looking at the more fundamental issue of police arresting a lawyer for advising our client to remain silent or not to give a statement. He's not looking at that. According to the statement, oh, she was arrested for less than 50 minutes. So he thought it was water under the bridge. That is what is going on. So this man seemed to be protected. And I made the point last week that if you look at all the cases emanating from Soku, see who is the complainant in almost all of the cases. Almost all of the cases, the one officer, Krishnath Ramana, is the complainant in those matters. The charges against us, he is the complainant. The charges against a lot of people, right? He is the complainant. And he's a man, as we have seen, who knows little about policing and prosecution. He's a man who arresting someone who's appearing in court. You're arresting them for the same matter that they're appearing in court for. He's a man who's arresting a man who is charged and before the court to tell him that he has to caution him of the charge in relation to the same matter. Now, as a trainer, if you set an exam question and the constable, the most junior constable, gave such an explanation, it's fairly fail.
Yeah.
They're going to question about that because those things are supposed to be routine. And if you're an investigator, you must know the judge's rule and what a caution after charge and when a caution after charge is given. Not when a post, well, here after charge, so you must believe that if a person charged 1 year, 2 years after the charge, you can still caution the person after charge. But that is not what it is. That is not what it is. So that we understand this thing clearly. So that matter with the attorney, they are giving it a slow walk, so people forget. And then
mind the word slow. Mind the word slow.
right, SLOW. They're giving it the SLOW walk. It's not SLOWE. If they give it the SLOWE, then it might move with some alacrity. The man, there's a pet word in the man now. He used to use posture. Now he bring in alacrity in the thing. He learning one words, man. Learning one words. So the point is, as I've said, the man is going to be there, keep the thing quiet for a while, and then the man is going to be like the phoenix, emerge from the ashes. The man going to be, for the older folks, Terrence, and then if you used to see movie, there was a man, Christopher Lee. He starred in these Fu Manchu movies. And at the end of the Fu Manchu movies, he always said, "The world shall hear from me again." Yeah. That's how Fu Manchu, Christopher Lee, Fu Manchu. All the guys will remember that. And then more recently, you had Arnold Schwarzenegger. He used to say, "I'll be back. I'll be back." So what you happening here now? You're gonna lay down for a while, play possum, see what's gonna happen, and then the man is likely to emerge or to emerge. That is what this thing has come to. That is what I know that the lawyer has filed civil action. Let's see where that will go. Let's see where that will go. Because up to last night, I saw a complaint on social media from another lawyer who says that he went to, I think it's Kanu, and he was denied seeing his client, kind of saying that they got to book him for us and all kind of thing, right? Well, John, yes, The Blood of Fu Manchu. There are several Fu Manchu movies. I never used to miss them movies when I was a young man growing up. Fu Manchu, Christopher Lee was the star, tall guy with the mustache and thing. Christopher Lee, The World Shall Hear From Me Again. And then he did some Dracula movies as well. He did some Dracula movies, Christopher Lee. But moving on, CC, again, we raised this matter with Ossie Rogers. It has been what? It's been like a month now since Ossie Rogers assaulted this woman at Bath Settlement on the West Coast Bobbies.
With a gun.
Huh?
With a gun. With a gun.
The man assaulted this woman with a gun, according to the allegation. And she made a report to the police station. The police apparently never seized the gun. The police put him on his own recognizance. And a day or 2 thereafter, the man flew out of the jurisdiction. And you're hearing nothing as to whether he's charged for the assault, as to whether what action is being taken. We don't ask for policing, man. Let me understand this. I talking policemen for the younger guys. A matter like that is report. You take the report from the lady. She has to seek medical attention. From the time she said the man used a gun, you got to find out if the man's a licensed firearm holder and seize the firearm. Because firearm now becomes material evidence in this whole matter. And if you're in the more advanced jurisdiction, she said, Elisha, if she had with the gun, you're going to examine the gun for DNA and all of that. Because transfer will take place. Transfer will take place. Transfer meaning body tissue from the person who's assaulted is likely to be on the part of the gun that was used to assault. The man gone, and you're hearing nothing from the police. Just as how with this matter coming out of Soku, the man who sits in the chair has not said anything. He has not said anything. And I made the point that he didn't want to see no microphone now. Having been in front of the microphone with the Dion Bascom matter and the backlash from that, the man is traumatized. Microphone now is like kryptonite. The man don't want to go nowhere near no microphone. So nothing you're near, not a as the people say, you're near from him. Not a statement from the usually the unit, the corporate communication unit, who like to write all of them drama, Hollywood drama. Not a thing from them you're nearing. And that is part of the cover-up syndrome. That is part of the cover-up syndrome. They're staying quiet. And I noted too in recent times, this PR man that you referred to earlier, who had I ain't hearing much from him now. I don't know if he has lost the PR work or whatever. And here he's not as prolific as he used to be, as he said.
That's true. I haven't heard from him a long while, but well, maybe his boss isn't speaking to him, so maybe taking his pattern off his boss, man.
Yeah, so we have all of these issues. Then we had the issue with the death of the man over the weekend before. The accident at Enmore somewhere there, where the minister, the bishop, I know it's his vehicle, but a vehicle in his convoy, struck and killed a man. Right? Now, according to the man's story, now last week I said that the driver wasn't arrested. Somebody corrected me, and well, somebody said in a comment, I don't know how true it is, that both drivers may have been taken into custody. But the information is that the driver of the other vehicle alone remained there. And the man in the other vehicle is saying that he never struck the man. He said the bicycle fell on his vehicle. The bicycle fell on his vehicle. That his vehicle never struck the man. The man was put in custody. Had to spend the night, $100,000 bail, something like that. So that is a problem with the system. That is a problem with the system. This thing is, again, Animal Farm. All animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. Some are more. So you have all of these cases. All of these cases are being swept under the table. Then you like it to hear, soon you like it to hear, in the Bath Settlement case, I had predicted that what you're going to hear is that the complainant, that's the woman who was struck, indicates that she doesn't want any further police action. This is what you likely to hear. But I made the point then, and you would support me as a knowledgeable police, that what should have happened is that whether she want or not, there's not police business to determine guilt or innocence. Police is to make out a case and put it before the court and let the court determine. So even if she didn't want to put the matter before the court, let the magistrate, and that saves you, the police. That saves you. People can accuse you of taking a bribe to duck the matter, put the matter before the court, and let the magistrate decide. She go there, she give evidence, she don't want to continue with the matter, then the court will take it and the court will determine how the matter will go. So that is some of the things, and they ain't doing that.
There's another one too. Vigilance Police Station alleged a prisoner gave a man a lighter and the man burned up himself.
Oh yes, and you ain't nothing about the one, and that is months now.
Yeah.
That is months now. The young man who was born, and they say that he burned himself, right? And they had some ranks under close arrest. You ain't hearing about that? Talking about close arrest, you also heard that they had the butchers from Borbies. The butchers from Borbies, the men who butchered the cow, they were too, they said they too were under close arrest. You ain't hearing nothing, anything about that?
And the board men, the men who seize 3 boards unlawfully carry them, then get a man, so they carry a board.
They arrest the board.
And then the command is aware, and he allow the board them to remain there.
So I don't know.
Unlawful detention of property.
So I don't know, poor cage boards. And I made the point last week, you know, I was somebody tell me I should say board man, I'm a board man. I used to mind board, Tower in particular. And those things are very, very expensive. And next you're gonna know you're gonna switcheroo is that if the man gets on board whistling clean and whistling good, you just put some other board in the cage, board and get mark and so on. You got to be a real board man to know the difference because they're going to put one of similar color. So all of these things are things that are occurring because of lack of proper leadership. Lack of proper leadership, so all of those things can occur. And when they do occur, no proper action is taken. The whole disciplinary process in the force has broken down. I've been saying that for years. The disciplinary process in the force has broken down. Long ago, as a policeman, you were afraid to get a charge sheet.
True.
Because you know the charge sheet meant that you can't get promotion.
Yeah.
It about your merit increment at the end of the year. So you walk the straight and narrow not to get a charge sheet. Now, some policemen in the days will tell you, well, charge sheet is a part of the kit. So never mind getting a charge sheet. But no, you don't get charge sheet at all. Now there's no charge sheet. And even when you get a charge sheet, nothing happens. Right? And when something happens, the wrong thing. So you get cases where there's no evidence at all. And when the inquiring officer say, well, look, no evidence, the matter should be dismissed. The disciplinary authority imposes fine.
1 day's pay, 1 day's pay.
Exactly. So that's what we're talking about. SEC, anything else you want to say at this stage?
No, nothing further.
Now let me look at my notes. Let me look at the notes and see if I miss out anything for today. Well, you know, CC, last week you listened, and I know you're a research man. I asked the question since last week. Who is the officer at Albion? I think it was 2 Sundays ago that go to this place and brandish gun, broke up bottles. Like you hear about that too and come out to the public?
No, top secret, confidential.
Another confidential piece of thing. But it was there circulating that an officer, senior officer, went there. I know if he take up his liquor or what. But the man pulled gun, broke up bottles, got people scampering. And that is another one.
And they said, according to the message I see, they said the 2IC Borbis was investigating. Perhaps we could call it 2IC and find out.
Well, I tell you, sir, the minister said not to reveal. Is another RAS report where you can't, it is secret or top secret or for your eyes only. They get all sorts of classification now for these things, all type of classification. What else? Right.
Paul, maybe the next episode, 51, we need to look at the police promotion policy.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Thanks for reminding me of that because I saw a document, and that document came out I think in 2021, June, and republished. That needs to be looked at because they're setting out the criteria for promotion to various ranks. So yes, I'll make a note of that, and definitely next week.
Yeah, it should be a substantial discussion.
Yeah, substantial discussion next week. Anything in closing, my brother?
I'm really just glad to be back, and I'll be back. They could delay
Arnold,
me,
man.
but they can't prevent me, man. They
You
can't.
sound like you sound like Arnold there. You'll be back.
Yeah.
You know, talking about that, I understand that there was to be a go slow or a walk to rule, something like that at QC today. I saw something. Excuse me, I saw something in social on social media, which suggests that the teachers at QC were going to go slow because of some issue with some legal officer or some. So we watch to see what is going to happen there. Let's watch to see what will happen. So they like it to be the go slow. And people are saying in social media, you know, I think they said a liar or something like that. No name is mentioned. And the fact that no name is mentioned suggests that it's some big one, some issue, some altercation there, either with the child of somebody, some legal person, they say, and the teachers are concerned and decide that today they're going on a go slow. So never a dull moment in the oil-rich land of Guyana. This place that is not a real place. So anything in closing?
No, we have said enough. Let's left back for next week.
Okay, good. Right. Thank you very much, my brother. Folks, that is what all we're going to discuss today. I hope you, this 50th program of Speaking Out, I hope you found it interesting. And as I said, warning again, you know, take care of yourselves. Be mindful that COVID is still around. Every day you see a 17 case or whatever. Protect yourself like the boxer. That's the last instruction the referee will give to the boxer. Protect yourself at all times. So be safe, and until next week. And remember the time change is going to be 12 o'clock Guyana time, 11 o'clock people in the Eastern Standard Time, and you people in Europe and elsewhere can work out the time difference for the program. As we said, go to the YouTube, subscribe to the channel. You will get to see on YouTube too once you go there, all episodes. If you miss an episode, they're all there. All 50. Very shortly, this one will be posted. So they're all there in case you miss them. You can look at them in your own time. So for now, until next Wednesday, God spare life. We'll meet again for another episode, the 51st episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. For now, bye.